Breaking. Prince William just dropped a public statement so brutal that Keir Starmer literally froze mid-sentence during Prime Minister's questions. The future king didn't raise his voice, he didn't need to. His 11 words have sparked a constitutional firestorm that could topple the government within days. And what Labour tried to keep under wraps for 3 weeks is now blowing up across Britain in the most spectacular political meltdown since Brexit. If you want to see how this plays out, smash that subscribe button right now, because what happens in the next 72 hours will define UK politics for the next decade. Here's what lit the fuse. 8 days ago, Starmer announced what he called the National Housing Initiative. On paper, it sounded reasonable. 300,000 affordable homes across Britain by seizing unused land through compulsory purchase orders. But buried on page 47 of the 200-page document was a bombshell that made royal officials recoil. The government had earmarked 14 historic sites for immediate seizure, including properties directly tied to the royal family. One site in particular sent shockwaves through Kensington Palace, Duchy of Cornwall farmland in Devon, under royal stewardship for 700 years. Starmer wasn't asking permission, he was nicking it. But William wasn't about to stay stumm. 3 days ago at 9:15 a.m, during what was meant to be a routine visit to a Manchester homeless shelter, Prince William did something that shattered 50 years of royal protocol. Standing before a crowd of volunteers and local families, he delivered what palace insiders are calling the most politically charged statement from a royal since Queen Elizabeth's 1992 Annus Horribilis speech. His exact words were chilling. When government policy prioritises speed over heritage, we don't just lose land, we lose ourselves. The room went dead silent. Cameras caught volunteers gasping. One woman in the front row burst into tears. William wasn't done. He carried on, voice steady but firm. True leadership protects what generations before us built, not destroys it for short-term political gain. No mention of Starmer by name. No direct attack on Labour. But everyone in Britain knew exactly who he meant. Within minutes, the clip was trending worldwide. William v. Starmer hit #1 on Twitter. The future king had just declared war on the Prime Minister. The backlash was instant and savage. Within 2 hours, Conservative leader Rishi Sunak issued a statement praising William's profound wisdom and demanding an immediate parliamentary debate on the housing plan. Nigel Farage popped up on GB News, declaring William had spoken for millions of Britons sick of watching their heritage trashed by ideologues. Even Lib Dem leader Ed Davey, usually allergic to royal politics, cautiously noted the prince raised legitimate concerns about consultation. Starmer was isolated. His own backbenches were rattled, and at Prime Minister's questions that afternoon, everything blew up. Rishi rose to his feet with a grin sharp enough to cut glass. Will the Prime Minister confirm he intends to seize royal land without consultation? And does he believe the future king has no right to defend Britain's heritage? Starmer stood, face flushed, knuckles white on the dispatch box. Then came the catastrophic blunder that may end his career. The Prince of Wales, Starmer began, voice rising, does not set housing policy in this country. Parliament does. And if he or anyone in that family thinks they can veto democratically elected decisions, they're living in a fantasy world that ended centuries ago. The chamber erupted. Tory MPs roared in outrage. Labour MPs sat frozen in horror. Even the Speaker looked gobsmacked. Starmer had just publicly humiliated the future king on live TV, broadcast to millions. But what happened next showed just how badly he'd miscalculated. Senior Labour MP Harriet Harman, a party veteran, was caught on camera literally burying her head in her hands. Former Home Secretary Yvette Cooper closed her eyes and mouthed, "Oh my God, no." Even David Lammy, the Foreign Secretary and one of Starmer's closest allies, was seen shaking his head in disbelief. These weren't Starmer's enemies. This was his inner circle. And they knew instantly he'd committed political suicide. Within 90 minutes, Starmer's office issued what they called a clarification, but everyone saw it for what it was, desperate damage control. The statement claimed the PM had the utmost respect for the Prince of Wales and the royal family, and that his comments were taken out of context. But the video was crystal clear. There was no context that could save him. Political commentator Andrew Neil tweeted, "You can't unring that bell. Starmer just declared war on the monarchy on live television, and now he's pretending it didn't happen. Pathetic." That tweet racked up 127,000 likes in 3 hours. Meanwhile, ordinary Britons, watching their communities crumble under Labour's policies, felt like they were living through absolute hell. Take James Harrison, a 64-year-old Royal Navy veteran from Portsmouth who served 22 years defending Britain. James came back from the Falklands with a chest full of medals and shrapnel still lodged near his spine. Today, he's stuck in a council flat with black mould crawling up the walls because the local Labour council claims there's no cash for repairs. His granddaughter's got chronic asthma from the damp conditions. James applied for housing assistance 11 months ago. He's still waiting. "I bled for this country," he told reporters through tears. "And now I can't even get a safe place to live while they bang on about seizing royal land for political points." That interview went viral in seconds. Meanwhile, Starmer and his cabinet ministers are living it up in taxpayer-funded digs worth millions. We're talking grace and favour apartments with 24-hour security, cleaners on tap, and maintenance crews ready at the drop of a hat. Starmer himself kips in a Downing Street flat that had $30,000 worth of renovations last year, all on the public purse. The contrast is so obscene, so morally grotesque, that even hardline Labour voters are saying enough is enough. A YouGov poll released yesterday showed 68% of Britons believe Starmer's attack on William was bang out of order. Among voters over 50, that figure rockets to 79%. This isn't just bad politics, it's a full-blown death spiral happening in real time. And here's where it gets even worse for Labour. The party's own internal focus groups in Birmingham, Liverpool, and Glasgow revealed something that sent shockwaves through campaign HQ. Working-class voters, the very backbone Labour claims to represent, are turning against them in droves, specifically because of this royal bust-up. One participant, a 58-year-old former steelworker named Colin Davies, nailed the mood perfectly. "I've voted Labour my whole life. My dad voted Labour. My granddad voted Labour. But I won't back a party that disrespects the crown. That's not what Labour used to be." His words were echoed by 19 out of 22 participants in that session. Labour strategists are calling these results apocalyptic. They're losing the very voters they thought were locked in forever. The party that built its identity on representing ordinary Britons is now seen as attacking the institutions those same Britons hold sacred. Trade union leaders are rattled. Sharon Graham, General Secretary of Unite the Union, reportedly told Labour officials in a heated phone call, "Our members respect tradition. They respect the monarchy. You're making us choose between Labour and our values, and you're not going to like how that turns out. When you've lost the unions, you've lost Labour's soul." But then something unprecedented happened that nobody saw coming. King Charles, who normally swerves political controversy, broke his own protocol with a move so calculated it left constitutional experts gobsmacked. Yesterday afternoon, at a private reception for Commonwealth ambassadors at Buckingham Palace, Charles did something he's never done in his 75 years. He publicly embraced William in front of 200 guests and cameras, placing both hands on his son's shoulders and speaking directly into his ear for nearly 30 seconds. Palace lip readers later analysed the footage. According to their assessment, Charles said, "You spoke for Britain. Never apologise for defending what matters." The symbolism was nuclear. The king was publicly backing his son's political intervention. Royal protocol demands neutrality. Charles just shattered it. And then came the statement from Buckingham Palace that changed everything. At 4:47 p.m, the official Royal Communications Office released just 2 sentences. The Prince of Wales' comments regarding heritage preservation reflect deeply held personal values shared across generations of the royal family. These concerns warrant serious consideration from all parties. Read between the lines, the King just told Parliament, "My son was right, and you need to listen." Constitutional scholars called it unprecedented. Professor Michael Jennings from Cambridge University described it as the most direct royal intervention in government policy since the 1936 abdication crisis. The optics are devastating for Starmer. He's not just scrapping with William anymore, he's up against the entire institution of the monarchy, with the British public watching in horror. The domino effect was catastrophic and swift. Financial markets tanked immediately. The pound dropped 1.2% against the dollar within hours of Starmer's PMQ's outburst, wiping $18 billion off Britain's market value. Investment firms cited constitutional uncertainty as investors fled UK assets. The FTSE 100 tumbled 89 points. Property developers who were meant to benefit from Labour's housing plan saw their stock prices nosedive as legal challenges piled up. Economic analysts warned that Starmer's war with the monarchy is creating exactly the kind of instability that drives capital out of Britain. Then came the political fractures. Within 24 hours of Starmer's attack, 3 Labour MPs publicly questioned the Prime Minister's judgment. Rosie Duffield, already a persistent critic, tweeted, "Picking fights with the future king isn't a housing strategy. It's madness." 2 backbenchers from northern constituencies quietly told the BBC they'd been bombarded with hundreds of furious constituent emails backing William. Social media turned into a proper battlefield. Stand with William racked up 4.3 million tweets in just 36 hours. TikTok blew up with clips of young people, the exact demographic Labour desperately needs, defending the prince. One viral video of a 23-year-old Londoner saying, "I'm not even a royalist, but Starmer went way too far," smashed 8 million views. Meanwhile, a resign trended in the UK for 14 straight hours. Then came the street protests. In Manchester, more than 2,000 people rocked up outside the town hall with placards reading, "Respect our heritage," and "William speaks truth." Similar demos erupted in Birmingham, Leeds and Bristol. These weren't slick political rallies. They were raw, spontaneous eruptions of anger from ordinary Britons who felt Starmer had crossed a line you just don't cross. Labour's worst nightmare was unfolding. They were losing the culture war to the monarchy. Inside number 10 Downing Street, the atmosphere descended into pure chaos and finger-pointing. Ministers were at each other's throats. Deputy Prime Minister Angela Rayner and Chancellor Rachel Reeves held what insiders called a volcanic showdown with Starmer yesterday afternoon. According to 2 officials present, Rayner told him straight, "You've handed Reform UK a loaded gun, and you're standing right in front of the target." Reeves was even more brutal, allegedly snapping, "The polling is catastrophic. We're losing pensioners, veterans and Middle England. This housing plan isn't worth torching the party." "Over," Starmer reportedly shouted, back that he wouldn't be bullied by a family that contributes nothing. One official described him as unrecognisable, paranoid, convinced palace advisers were orchestrating a coordinated takedown. WhatsApp groups inside the Parliamentary Labour Party, with names like Save Our Party and Post-Star Planning, were buzzing with frantic plotting. Over 40 MPs are now openly discussing leadership challenges. Names being floated include Angela Rayner, Yvette Cooper and Wes Streeting. The plotters aren't even pretending to be subtle anymore. Yesterday, 5 MPs were snapped having lunch together at a Westminster restaurant, and political hacks immediately dubbed it the Cabal meeting. Shadow cabinet members are cancelling TV slots, rather than defending Starmer's comments. "When your own crew won't fight for you, the clock's ticking." Sources close to HQ reveal Labour's internal polling shows support collapsing in 47 constituencies, including 12 seats they nicked off the Tories just months ago. The question isn't if they'll move against Starmer, it's whether he'll still be PM by the end of next week. But here's the crushing revelation that could sink the whole government. Leaked documents obtained by The Telegraph revealed something Starmer's team desperately tried to bury. 3 weeks before announcing the housing plan, officials from the Department for Levelling Up met with Crown Estate reps to discuss Duchy of Cornwall land. According to the minutes, royal officials explicitly warned that seizing heritage sites without consultation would trigger a constitutional crisis. They offered alternatives: joint development partnerships, long-term leases, collaborative planning. The government binned every single proposal. One email from a senior Downing Street advisor to Housing Secretary Michael Gove is particularly damning. The political benefit of showing we're not afraid to challenge royal privilege outweighs the diplomatic concerns. PM wants to proceed regardless. If these documents are legit, and multiple sources confirm they are, then Starmer didn't stumble into this mess. He engineered it as a stunt. Think about that. He knowingly provoked a constitutional confrontation with the monarchy, gambling Britain's stability for short-term headlines and a chance to look tough. He risked the pound, investor confidence and national unity because he thought attacking the royals would play well with his base. The optics are devastating. It confirms every criticism his opponents have hurled, that he's reckless, ideologically driven, and willing to torch institutions for political gain. If the full email chain leaks, and sources say more is coming, Starmer won't just lose his job, he'll lose his legacy. But wait, There's another explosive layer. The leaked emails reveal Sue Gray, Starmer's chief of staff, and the woman who brought down Boris Johnson, actually warned against this exact strategy. In an email dated 3 weeks ago, Gray wrote, "Picking a fight with Kensington Palace serves no policy objective and creates massive political risk. We should pursue collaborative solutions." Her advice was ignored. Gray, who's navigated Westminster politics for decades and knows how power really works in Britain, saw the disaster coming and tried to stop it. Starmer overruled her. And here's the devastating twist. Sue Gray has been conspicuously absent from Downing Street all week. She didn't even attend the cabinet meeting where the crisis was thrashed out. She wasn't present during the emergency strategy sessions. Multiple sources confirm she's been working from home, and some insiders are whispering she's eyeing resignation. If Sue Gray bails on Starmer, it's game over. She's the architect of his whole operation, the one who keeps the machine ticking. Without her, Starmer is politically starkers, and the symbolism would be brutal. The woman who ended Boris Johnson's career walking away from Starmer because he ignored her warnings. The media would have a field day. Opposition MPs are already sharpening their attack lines. If Sue Gray won't work with Starmer, why should Britain trust him? This revelation about Gray's opposition to the housing plan completely torpedoes Starmer's defence that he was following expert advice. He wasn't. He was winging it on his own political instincts, and they've driven him straight off a cliff. Meanwhile, Nigel Farage is positioning Reform UK as the defender of British tradition and common sense. While Starmer scraps with the future king and Labour tears itself apart, Farage has been touring working-class communities with a blunt message. They've forgotten who they're meant to serve. Yesterday in Stoke-on-Trent, Farage stood beside Union Jack flags and local residents as he delivered what analysts are calling his sharpest speech in years. Prince William said what millions of you are thinking, that our heritage matters, our traditions matter, that Britain is more than just a construction site for politicians' vanity projects. No ranting, no bombast, just steady patriotic conviction. The crowd went wild. Clips of the speech racked up 3 million views across platforms in 12 hours. Reform UK's membership has surged by 60,000 in the past week alone. Their fundraising has doubled, and for the first time in modern polling history, Reform UK has leapfrogged Labour in 3 constituencies, Clacton, Ashfield, and Boston and Skegness. The polls tell a jaw-dropping story. Conservatives holding steady at 33%, Labour collapsing to 27%, and Reform UK surging to 22%. Britain is staring at a 3-way political deadlock, not seen since the 1920s. Farage isn't just a protest candidate anymore. He's a legit contender for coalition government. And with every passing day, Starmer looks weaker and more isolated, while Farage looks more like Britain's future. Here's the kicker. Labour strategists admit Farage is winning over demographics they thought were impossible for him to touch. A fresh opinion poll shows Reform UK now attracting 31% of voters aged 55 to 64, a group that voted overwhelmingly Labour just 6 months ago. These are people who remember when Labour stood for working folk, national pride and respect for institutions. They're watching Starmer attack the monarchy and saying, enough is enough. Even more shocking, Reform UK is polling at 18% among women over 60, a demographic that traditionally viewed Farage with suspicion. His message of defending British heritage and standing up for veterans is cutting through in ways that have stunned political observers. One focus group participant in Newcastle, a 62-year-old retired nurse named Patricia Williams, summed it up perfectly. I never thought I'd consider voting for Nigel Farage, but he's defending the things I believe in while Labour attacks them. What choice do I have? That sentiment is echoing across Britain. Farage has successfully rebranded himself from divisive provocateur to defender of tradition, and Starmer handed him that transformation on a silver platter. The Conservative Party is rattled too. Realising Reform UK isn't just nicking votes from Labour, they're building a broad coalition that could permanently reshape UK politics. The next 72 hours are absolutely critical. Tomorrow, Prince William is set to attend the state opening of Parliament, sitting directly across from Starmer during the King's speech. Palace insiders confirm the Prince will be there, making the visual contrast between dignity and desperation impossible to miss. On Friday, Labour's National Executive Committee holds an emergency meeting where Starmer's leadership will be on the chopping block for the first time since he became PM. Over the weekend, 3 major newspapers are reportedly prepping exposés on the leaked housing plan documents with even more damaging details. The question isn't whether Starmer survives, it's how much damage he inflicts on Labour before he's ousted. Britain is watching a government implode in real time. This crisis will be studied in political science courses for decades as a textbook case of how a leader can self-destruct by attacking an institution the public still cherishes. At the epicentre stands Starmer, isolated, desperate, finished. History will remember this as the week a Prime Minister forgot that in Britain you can challenge many things, but you cannot win a war against the Crown. So here's the burning question. Does Starmer resign before he's shoved out, or does Labour rip itself apart removing him? Did William's 11 words just end a Prime Minister's career, or did Starmer destroy himself through sheer arrogance? And could we actually be heading toward a snap election that puts Nigel Farage in a coalition government? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We read every single one. And if this constitutional crisis shocked you as much as it shocked us, share this with everyone who needs to see what's really happening in Westminster right now. The mainstream media is downplaying it, but we're giving you the full truth. Smash that subscribe button, because tomorrow we're breaking down the leaked emails that prove Starmer planned this confrontation from the start. The next chapter could change Britain forever, and you won't want to miss it.